The scientific advancements that we are witnessing today indicate human victory over the forces of nature and our deep understanding of its details. For example, the development of modern medicine has led to the eradication of diseases, such as smallpox, and the discovery of treatments for previously incurable diseases, such as cancer. The internet has revolutionized the way we communicate and access information, while renewable energy sources, such as solar and wind power, are reducing our dependence on fossil fuels. These technological innovations have greatly improved our quality of life.
While it is true that we have made significant progress in many fields, our understanding of the natural world is still limited. For example, current theories on dark matter and energy suggest that 95% of the universe is composed of these mysterious entities. However, we have not been able to detect or observe them directly. Similarly, the origins of the universe and the nature of consciousness remain mysteries. Even in fields where we have made significant progress, such as physics and chemistry, there are still limitations and unanswered questions. For example, while successfully explaining a wide range of phenomena, the theory of relativity and quantum mechanics are incompatible. A unified theory that explains both remains to be discovered. It is important to remember that science is constantly evolving, and our understanding of the natural world is incomplete.
I agree that our understanding of the natural world is still limited, and many unanswered questions exist. However, I believe the advancements we have made so far have given us the tools and knowledge to overcome these limitations. For example, the development of powerful telescopes and particle accelerators has allowed us to observe the universe in previously impossible ways. We continue to progress in understanding the nature of consciousness and the universe's origins through neuroscience, artificial intelligence, and cosmology research. The scientific method, which emphasizes observation, experimentation, and replication, has proven to be an effective means of gaining knowledge. I am confident we will continue progressing and gaining a deeper understanding of the natural world.
I agree that the scientific method has been a powerful tool in our quest for understanding, and that we have made significant progress in many areas. However, it is also important to remember that science is not a static discipline, and our understanding of the natural world constantly evolves. For example, the geocentric model of the universe, which held that the Earth was at the center of the universe, was widely accepted for centuries, but was eventually abandoned as new evidence came to light. Similarly, the phlogiston theory of combustion, which held that burning resulted from a substance called phlogiston being released, was discredited by experiments showing that combustion involved oxygen absorption. It is essential to remain open-minded, question our assumptions and theories, and be willing to revise or abandon them if they are flawed. We can only hope to gain a deeper understanding of the natural world by embracing its uncertainty and complexity. Moreover, we should remember that even the most successful theories and models may have limitations and be subject to revision as new evidence and discoveries come to light.
But I cannot believe how much we know about the Neanderthal man today. Thanks to science and technology, we can study their bones and DNA and even reconstruct their appearance. We know that they were skilled hunters and had a complex social structure. They even could make tools and jewelry. It is truly unique how much information we have uncovered about them.
While it is true that science has given us some insight into the Neanderthal man, it is important to note that our understanding of them is far from complete. There have been numerous contradictions and changes in the scientific community's understanding of Neanderthals over the years. For example, scientists once believed that Neanderthals were not capable of language or art, but now we know that they had symbolic thinking and created cave paintings. Also, it was thought that they were a separate species from Homo sapiens, but now it is believed that they interbred with us. These contradictions show that our understanding of Neanderthals is still evolving, and there is much more to learn about them.
But the evidence found in fossils and DNA studies supports what we know about them.
Yes, but the evidence is also open to interpretation, and scientists have different theories and hypotheses. Moreover, discoveries like the fact that Neanderthals and modern humans interbred have completely changed our understanding of them. We cannot just ignore the limitations and gaps in our knowledge.
But I cannot believe you are still questioning the existence of atoms. Scientists have seen atoms with their own eyes and have even been able to study their properties in detail. They know for a fact that atoms exist.
That may be true, but just because scientists have been able to observe certain properties of atoms does not mean they know everything there is to know about them. Scientists have made many contradictory discoveries about atoms throughout history. For example, scientists once believed that atoms were indivisible and could not be split, but later discovered that atoms could be split through nuclear fission. Scientists have also been surprised to find that the behavior of atoms changes when they are being observed, a phenomenon known as wave-particle duality. In addition, scientists today can only see the atoms using advanced technology and not by the naked eye, and they cannot be sure of the details of the atoms and their structure and the subatomic particles inside it.
But that does not mean atoms do not exist. It just means that our understanding of atoms is still evolving and that much is still to be discovered. Scientists constantly work to improve our understanding of atoms and other particles.
Scientists today can observe the structure of atoms using advanced technology such as transmission electron microscopes and scanning electron microscopes. These instruments allow scientists to study the individual atoms of a sample in great detail. Scientists have observed the atom's nuclei and the electron shells surrounding them. They have deduced much information about atoms' chemical and physical properties by studying their electron configurations. However, using these techniques, it is impossible to observe individual electrons or protons. Scientists can only infer their presence and properties by observing their effects on their surroundings, such as how they absorb and emit light. Additionally, scientists have not yet been able to directly observe subatomic particles such as quarks or gluons. They infer their existence through the mathematical models explaining subatomic particles' behavior. Therefore, scientifically, we cannot say that we know the true nature of the atom with precision, but we can claim that we have learned many of its properties or effects in our reality, but not what it is or what is behind it. Actually, science still has a lot to learn. Take, for example, the Pharaonic civilization and the Egyptian pyramids. Scientists still don't know how they arose and how the pyramids were built.
But there are so many theories about the pyramids. Some say they were built using advanced mathematical and engineering techniques. Others suggest they may have been constructed by aliens.
Yes, there are many theories, but that doesn't mean we have all the answers. The fact remains that we still don't know for sure how the pyramids were built, or how the Pharaonic civilization came to be. Here are some of the main theories about how the Egyptian pyramids were built. Ramp theory. This theory suggests that the pyramids were built using ramps that were constructed alongside the pyramid and used to transport the heavy blocks of stone to higher levels. Internal ramp theory. This theory proposes that the pyramids were built using internal ramps that were built into the pyramid structure itself. Water shaft theory. This theory suggests that the Egyptians used water to lift the heavy blocks of stone into place by pouring water into a shaft and creating pressure that lifted the blocks. Geoengineering theory. This theory suggests that the Egyptians used a combination of engineering techniques, including levers and pulleys, to transport and lift the heavy blocks of stone into place. Casting theory. This theory proposes that the blocks of stone were not carved from quarries, but rather cast in situ using a type of concrete made from local materials. Levitation theory. This theory proposes that the ancient Egyptians used sound vibrations and other unknown techniques to levitate and move the heavy blocks of stone into place. Spiritual power theory. This theory proposes that the Egyptians used spiritual power, meditation, or other mystical techniques to move the heavy blocks of stone into place. Divine inspiration theory. This theory suggests that the design and construction of the pyramids were guided by divine inspiration or knowledge from God. Alien theory. This theory proposes that the pyramids were built with the help of extraterrestrial beings who possessed advanced technology and knowledge beyond what humans were capable of at the time. Combination theory. This theory suggests that the Egyptians used a combination of various techniques and technologies to build the pyramids, such as ramps, levers, and pulleys, as well as spiritual and mystical practices. These are just a few theories about how the pyramids were built, and there are many more ideas and hypotheses that have been proposed over the years. However, despite the many different theories, the mystery of the pyramids remains unsolved, and their construction continues to fascinate and inspire people around the world. In conclusion, it is important to note that science and religion are not mutually exclusive, and one does not negate the other. It is not as simple as many believe today that science can easily disprove religion, as science itself contradicts itself every 10 years or so, admitting to having made mistakes in the past and discovering new truths, only to contradict those discoveries later on. That is because science conducts many failed experiments, and when one experiment succeeds, science can invest and harness the results in particular inventions. That is a great thing, but science is feeble in explaining the actual reason behind these results. It gives theoretical, hypothetical explanations, and over time, changes them and admits to their errors. Therefore, it is vital to encourage science, recognize its limitations, and not consider it as the one true God with the definite answer to everything. Most of the public falls into this mental fall, but not genuine scientists. As they advance in their scientific experiments, they realize the limited nature of their knowledge and are often left confused. It is crucial to avoid self-reactive reactions to adverse conditions caused by religious advocates, and then seeking revenge on them by distorting the image of religion at any cost, even if that cost is mental self-suicide, denying science which dictates not to believe in anything or denying it without objective evidence conclusive.